What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're looking at more r/am I the butthole. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really does help our channel out. Don't forget, we're on podcast 2 now, a whole selection that's on your screen right now. You can join me on those and take me with you anywhere you go. And you can also support the channel by either clicking the join button below or joining us on Patreon, where we have different levels of membership, which obviously come with different perks. We released our first members only video yesterday, which was absolutely amazing, and I think it went really well. But don't be alarmed, this won't take away from our daily videos on our normal channel too. We had a new member on YouTube yesterday, Dwok the Rain Johnson, great name. And as I butchered your name yesterday, I think it's Coffeeville Science Girl. I called her Coffee Science Girl yesterday, so I'm really sorry for that. My brain's all over the place at the moment. So thank you for joining us, and also thank you to our other 2 Patreon members who joined us yesterday, Red Chibi and Tessa, who took out the gold membership, which I can only, mate, I woke up to that this morning and wow, tears again. I'm emotional, what can I say? And with that being said, let's get into today's stories. Much love, guys. And our first story comes from Mem0216. Am I the arsehole? I don't want to care for my husband anymore. Am I the arsehole? I don't want to take care of my husband anymore. My husband has a herniated disc and a bad knee. He's in pain often, has had to get multiple nerve blocks, etc. When he hurts, he's pretty much laid out for the day. Also, he's using so much Aleve that it's causing chronic gastritis and other health issues. The main problem I have is that he continues to run. The doctors and I have told him to find a different form of exercise, as it exasperates the injuries. He refuses. He'll run, then not be able to get off this couch for 2 days, which leaves me having to be his nurse and maid. I've had to take time off work to care for him and take him to various appointments. He can't do anything around the house, which leaves me to do all the childcare, cooking, cleaning, etc. But as soon as he feels remotely better, he goes for a 3 to 4 mile jog. He works from home on his computer, so he does work, but so do I. We finally had a blowout fight about it. I told him I wasn't going to continue to care for him if he continued to defy medical advice. I can't be the maid and sole caregiver to a man in his 40s when these exasperations can be avoided. He says that I'm being selfish and not caring. If this was something he couldn't control, or if he followed up the doctor's advice, of course I would take care of him, for better or worse, right? But I'm fed up. Am I the arsehole? Our first comment comes from Nox. Not the arsehole. I understand in sickness and in health, but that doesn't mean in self-inflicted sickness. He needs to understand that there are other forms of exercise to do cardio that will not put him out in commission for days. Username 12445 replies, not the arsehole, but I just want to add this comment that he seems to be running obsessively, and there is probably a psychological reason for it. Maybe he just wants to feel normal, and running is what does that for him, and he thinks that the pain is alright if he just feels normal for the run. If that's the case, maybe talk to him about other things that will help him feel normal. Either way, I hope he stops hurting himself and the relationship in this way, and I'm sorry to hear that you're having to go through this, OP. Tamaline replies, I was just thinking this sounds very OCD, as in, he needs to feel like he has control over something, since so many other things are out of his control. I'm not a doctor, but I have OCD myself. Alexia Wins also replies, I also have diagnosed OCD and agree with this. And there was a few other comments below as well, also talking about OCD and having been diagnosed with OCD, and that's what it sounds like. So I wonder if that's the case. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description. Our next story is from Maya Cofton. Am I the arsehole for telling my brother's new girlfriend that she's not pretty enough to be that stupid? My twin brother and I have always been super close. He's had his fair share of tragic relationships. His first girlfriend stole his car, second one was a drug addict, third lied about getting pregnant. He's had a lot of drama. He's kept himself out of the dating scene for a few years to focus on his career, and met his new girlfriend at the beginning of the year. I've met her a couple of times in passing, but up until last week, my parents never had. So knowing I was coming for dinner, they invited them both. The night started off okay. She was polite and complimented me and my mother. She told us about her daughter and her job. It all went to shit when my dad asked her about college and what school she went to. She ended up saying she dropped out of high school at 15, which I stifled a laugh about because I knew my mum wouldn't be happy, but then she started talking about the world and current events. Firstly, she said she didn't realise until the COVID outbreak that Australia and New Zealand were separate countries. She said that being Muslim was an ethnicity and depression isn't real. She got Paris and New York mixed up, just a bunch of dumb shit that honestly got to the point where I thought it was just an act. I started laughing at one of her comments, so she asked what was funny. I said, "You're joking, right?" And she looked at my brother all confused, so I said, "Come on, you're not pretty enough to be this dumb." My brother slammed his knife down and asked to talk to me. He started going on saying I have some massive superiority complex and I can't talk to people like that. I asked him what he saw in such a dumb bimbo, and he got her and walked out. My dad found it hilarious, but my mum didn't and told me to leave. Am I the arsehole? Smudgykins comments, "You're the arsehole. You probably thought you were witty, but that is absolutely cringeworthy." Little Lady Cheese replies, "Not only not witty, but also pretty offensive. Sexist undertone of women can be stupid if they make good arm candy. As someone has already said, people have more attributes than just smart or hot. Even if intended sarcastically, still isn't a good look. You're the arsehole." It's all relativity replies, "Not even an undertone by the time you describe you as a bimbo." Yeah, and I got to kind of say, I kind of agree with Little Lady Cheese here where she says the sexist undertone of women can be stupid if they make good arm candy, because that's clearly the way that OP sees it in the situation, which is just ridiculous. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote for story 2 on the link in the description. Our next story comes from Lillian Colden. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to tell my daughter that my husband isn't her biological father? I had my daughter when I was 19, she's now just turned 18. At the time, my boyfriend and I, now husband, were going through a rough patch and decided to go on a break. I was devastated and angry, so I decided to have sex with one of my good friends at the time. And 3 weeks later, ended up finding out I was pregnant. My boyfriend and I hadn't had sex in over 3 months, so I knew it wasn't his. But we reconnected, and when I told him, he amazingly decided that he would raise our child as his own. The biological father of my daughter is no longer in our lives, nor does he know that he has a daughter. He's half Italian, so he has very olive toned skin and distinctive facial features. My husband thankfully has naturally olive skin, so when our daughter did too, it didn't cause an issue. The fact that he's not our biological father has never been an issue, and we rarely think about it. He is her dad and always will be. We decided not to tell her because I didn't want her to have some kind of identity crisis, and because I know her biological father would want nothing to do with her, and that would break her heart. She's 18 and an extremely curious girl, and one thing she's been talking about doing a lot recently is an ancestry test to find out her genetic heritage and background. My husband and I have obviously been against her doing it, but she has her own money now, and if she desperately wants to do it, I know she will. My husband's parents have done these ancestry tests and they originate from Russia, so my daughter would know instantly something was up if she did one and it came up Italian. My husband is insistent that we tell her before she finds out through a DNA test by accident, as he thinks it will cause more hurt if she finds out before we tell her. I refuse, saying there's a chance she won't end up doing the test, and then we've told her for absolutely no reason. I never used the "you're not her real dad" line, but I did on this occasion and told him it was my decision. He doesn't want our daughter to know anything is wrong between us, so he's still sleeping in our bed, but he hasn't said a word to me and is upset I acted that way. Am I the arsehole? Oh dear. Queen Moogle says, "You're the arsehole. She's a whole person. I get that your hub's not being a biological dad isn't a big deal to you, but you've never given her the chance to figure that out for herself. She has the right to know, and a right to pursue a genetic understanding of herself for health reasons, and a right to know her history. You've waited pretty long, and it'd be rough, but a lot less rough of her finding out from someone who isn't you. Edit. Also big time you're the arsehole for telling her husband it's not his decision. He is her father. You don't get to decide when he is or isn't her father at your convenience." Zeralintix replies, "Yeah, specifically that last thing she said really bothered me. He is her father. Using that type of logic is hurtful and rude." Manky Toes, God, replies, "I can't even imagine standing by a woman in that situation, raising someone else's kid, and then her using that line on you. How ungrateful can you get?" Hora Laura also replies, "What gets me more is that even if you accepted the 'she's not your daughter' point, which from the biological perspective I suppose it's true, if anything it makes it more his decision than hers. It's literally his right to tell someone that he isn't their biological father. Like, what is OP's logic? She's my daughter so I can tell her who her father is, and that man has no choice in the matter. Or conversely, you're not her father so you can't tell her you're not her father. What even?" Yeah, that, I gotta say myself, that last line, I'd be absolutely devastated. Imagine being in that situation, raising that girl all that time, and then someone putting that line on you saying you're not the father. I'd be really pissed off. From what Queen Moogle said, where it says she's making it at her convenience, deciding when he's the father and when he isn't. It's fucking wrong, man. What do you guys think of that story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote for story 3 in the poll in the description. Our next story is from Such Passion 829. Am I the arse for not wanting to give my ex money after she got married? My ex and I split a few years back. We had 2 kids and split when they were babies. They have always lived with my ex, and I see them a few times a month when I'm not working weekends, which is frequent. I am remarried and have full custody of my other child I had in a previous relationship. My current wife has no children yet, but wants to try for one. I also just live in a trailer. My wife is pushing me to save for 5+ acres and a big home for us. My ex-wife got married and moved in with her new husband. I was dropping the kids off at a new place, and her husband has his own land and only one neighbour, and the house was 2 stories. While dropping them off, I asked him how much something like this cost, and he told me he built the house by hand, paycheck to paycheck, and that he's still working on it a little, and he plans to build an addition with 2 more bedrooms, living room and a man cave for himself. He then snuggled up to my ex and said it's our house now, so I'm letting her help me draw up the plans, and we've just painted the kids' room pink. He said everything he owned was now theirs. He's also set them up with a mini farm with a ton of animals that my daughter loved. Well, seeing how she has this great life now, we left, and when I got home my wife was pissy with me over it, so I texted my ex and told her that I don't think I should have to pay her child support anymore, and that so and so is more capable of providing for them, that I needed to save money to start my own family like she has. She got angry and told me that they were still my kids, and that I needed to take responsibility for them still. I disagree. She doesn't need the money, just wants it from me. Am I the arsehole? Before I even start to read the comments, I'm going to say that's some shitty logic you got right there. Our first comment comes from Mandarianette. You're the arsehole. The fact that your wife's new husband is richer than you are is irrelevant. Your children and your responsibility, not his. You're a father and it is your duty to support your children financially. And a reply to this was, it doesn't even sound like he's richer. He said he's building it paycheck to paycheck, which cuts down a lot of the costs. But it's still going slow, and the new husband has 15 years of workable age to accumulate money for it. Sounds like OP is just jealous about living in a trailer. Mama Cheese replied, yeah, I don't want to step in and tell this side how to live his life, but here we are. You're 30 with 3 kids from 2 women, wanting to try for 4+ kids from 3 baby mamas. Your finances are kinda make or break based on a $200 a month. Geez, that barely covers the cost of feeding 2 little kids, much less clothing, housing, electricity, school supplies and other necessities. And based on your other post, you're also trying to raise a deaf Dalmatian / Pitbull mix. We all know how mellow and chill those breeds are around kids that like to nip people. You're the arsehole, focus on the kids you have, not more that aren't here. Take this dog back to the shelter you got it from, save up some money for your own house, and don't let this dude take care of your kids. And ask at the free clinic for some condoms. I'm not trying to come off as a jerk, you did right taking care of your son when his mum went to jail, but this is the hand you dealt yourself. Yeah, I mean, you can't just abandon your kids financially just because the other husband is doing better than you are. I'm afraid, although he has some responsibility to them, they are mainly your responsibility. You brought them into this world, you need to look after them. It's that simple in my opinion. But what do you guys think about this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 4. Our next story comes from Ordinary No. Am I the arsehole for pretending to have an affair and embarrassing my husband on a video call? Just for reference, my husband thinks I'm funny. Just not to the extent he wants to get sued over it. My husband runs a family business and he works closely with a woman. We'll call her Susan, who's been there for about 12 years. Susan had a lot of respect for his late father, who never liked me. She never said anything directly to me because of her position, but every single time I go to see my husband, she makes a face, and I've heard rumours that she talks badly about how we met. That I'm with him for his money, the typical things jealous people say. So my husband's office is still closed due to COVID, and he usually works in his home office, but my brother came up to visit and he gave the home office to my brother for a few days and had the laptop set up in the bedroom. He's kind of an idiot for leaving it on when he left the room, because he knows I like to fuck with people. Susan's never met my brother, so I'd been downstairs cooking breakfast and I was wearing like a silk nightgown, which might be kind of weird in some families, but we're pretty open, and when I saw my husband step outside, I wanted to play a little joke on Susan. I dragged my brother upstairs to the bedroom and said my husband would be out for an hour or 2. He'd just gone to make a call outside, but she didn't know, I knew that, and that we had time, and I asked him to fuck me. Susan's gasp literally pierced the room, and I pretended to get upset and begged her not to tell. But she just kept saying she had too much respect for my husband. She knew I was going to do this, she just wishes someone warned him 10 years ago. Well, my husband came in and yelled at my brother and I for being arseholes and apologised to Susan, who obviously doesn't think I'm very funny. My husband 100% married me for my sense of humour, but he said that was way too close to something he could get sued over. But I think I was gracious and well behaved for 10 years. So settle this for us. Am I the arsehole? The first comment comes from Jimmy Jr. Dance Party. You're the arsehole. Would you do this in his workplace? He's working from his home currently, so being on the call is his workplace, and you thought it would be appropriate to pretend about having sex with someone to his co-worker. And then he quotes, he's kind of an idiot for leaving it on when he left the room because he knows I like to fuck with people. And Jimmy says, he probably trusted you to understand reasonable human boundaries. Captain Jack Narrow replied, absolutely nailed it on. This is his work and livelihood. OP needs to learn boundaries big time. Even if the woman at work wants her man, this is so out of line it hurts to read the attempt at justification. Edit, you're the arsehole, big time. Grey Bush Morgan says, yep, nailed it big time. Time and place and limits to all jokes. This one missed the mark on all three. You're the arsehole. Animal Lover 38 also replies, it's one thing if her and her brother had a conversation about something that could have been taken out of context. It's another to outright tell your brother to, fuck me. When I read that I was like, really? You'd really say that? Imagine walking on and hearing that. I don't care if it's a joke or what, man. I don't think I'd be too happy about it. What do you guys think about that story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll for story 5. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, there's another one on your screen as we speak. And a huge thank you to each and every one of you for being here. The time out your day is absolutely amazing, and I can't thank you enough for it. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Much love guys. Take care now. Goodbye.